Hello and welcome back to episode 3 of Reigniting 30s podcast, the podcast for people aged in their 30s who are feeling overwhelmed, maybe, who are struggling through life, who lack purpose, lack motivation, or just having some sort of struggles. And this week we're going to talk about relationships because I've had the good, the bad, yeah, not the ugly. Let's put it that way, because if you're in a relationship with someone, you're not going to think they're ugly anyway. So um, let's talk about it. Let's get down to it, and let's talk about relationships. So I was lucky enough to meet my wife 10 years ago. We um, got off really well. I'm not going to lie. We knew each other for a little bit before we got together. We were actually with other people when we first met. Became good friends. When we broke off with our respective partners at the time, we then thought about giving it a go and just really hit it off. We Within a year, we actually then decided to have a baby. It was We just felt the time was right. We just clicked together. It just seemed to work. I mean, I was 25 and she was 24 when we had our daughter. We moved into a house together and we got married all in the same year. The three biggest things you do in your life, and we decided to do it all in one year. Yeah, 2017 was that year. So um, it was a great time of life. You know what, having a child and being in a new house. Then we got married a few months later, which was amazing. We were really, really happy for, I would say, a good 5 years. Um, Things did change after our second was born. Obviously, if you heard episode number 2, I talked about parenting. I talked about my struggles with after our second child was born. Um, we did have our difficulties. Things started to break down. Completely understand it from her point of view. She felt like a single parent. I was never really around to help. I was going through my own struggles anyway. I felt that she weren't supporting me, in anything I do, and in sort of my mental health at the time. I felt I was alone, and funnily enough, the title "Sleeping Next to Each Other but Feeling Alone" is just so relevant, um, because that's exactly how we both felt. We were sleeping in the same bed, but didn't really know each other, didn't really want to be with each other, weren't really around each other, weren't supporting. People say they are, and I know there's a lot of people go through this. I know there's a lot of people out there who are with someone and they don't really want to be with someone. And I'm going to tell you a statistic, and it's going to shock you. Divorce rates worldwide is up at 56%. Over half of marriages fail. That's just marriages. That's not including people who don't ever get married, or are engaged and then break it off, or or just in a long-term relationship, effectively acting like they're married but really not. Most marriages fail. Scary, isn't it? I never knew that until I looked into sort of divorce and things like that. It's just crazy to think that so many go wrong, but why? Why did they go wrong? And I think there's numerous reasons as to why marriages do go wrong. I don't think it helps our generation, the Instagram generation, as I call it. But everything is so rosy on Instagram. And obviously, there's other social media platforms. I just use this as that terminology. But everything seems to be better on Instagram. You have that Instagram and reality, like Instagram versus reality. You have that on Instagram, but it's life as well. People think, oh, I should have this, I should have that, I can get better, I can do better. Yeah, you probably can, but you've made a commitment with someone. And when you're really, really in love, um, I've got a caveat to this as well, but when you're really in love with someone, you do everything for them and with them. That's how I felt. You just do everything. It's who you think about. You just adore them to bits. Caveat to that is that people do change, people do grow, people do move apart. It's completely natural. And like, this podcast is definitely not against divorce. I said, obviously, a massive statistic about 56% of like marriages fail. Yeah, but I'm actually with the thought of divorce. I would rather someone get divorced and be separated and go through that pain and struggle than they do staying in an unhappy relationship, causing them more hurt and hatred, because it's only going to come out later on and it's only going to hurt the people around you. Um, I'm not saying jump into divorce either. Like, obviously, it's a big decision to make, but you've just got to be wary of how you're feeling, and if you are feeling unhappy, or um, you're not content, or anything along those lines that has raised concern, talk to people, seek some help. um, Release those feelings, release it to someone else who may not be directly like emotional connected with you. What I mean by that is sometimes parents can give conflicting advice. I know, um, it was a little bit strange. It was a little bit different for me, but it can be strange speaking to someone from a different generation. They have different values, different feelings, etc. Again, speaking to someone who is your best friend might be challenging. They're always going to take your side. Someone neutral may be able to help in that sense. Or someone who is a friend but isn't a really close friend, again, may be able to give you some sort of sound advice rather than just, I want to back you up, I want to be on your team, like, type of thing. That makes sense. But it is hard. It is hard. And I don't think the likes of the dating apps that are available help relationships, because I know a lot of guys out there and a lot of girls, let's be fair in this, who are on the likes of Tinder. There are other social dating apps available online. There's no product placement here. Just did it. But at the end of the day, yeah, they don't help. People can hide who they are, they can hide away, they can have their bit on the side as such without any struggles whatsoever. And I think that's wrong. I know there's a lot of people out there who are looking for stuff. Like, if you're doing something like that, you need to look within first, because doing something wrong and over the side is just going to hurt people around you. Like I said, obviously your marriage isn't going to end well, or your relationship. You'll get judged by people around you. There'll be, I don't know, all sorts of different things. But I just think, from my point of view, if you are thinking about doing something like that, one, speak to your partner. It may be a real issue that you can resolve. It could be really easy as well to resolve. Two, they may be looking for the same thing. I'm going to put this out there, but things like swingers are quite normal. There's swingers parties. I think I've never been to one, but at the end of the day, my thing is that is quite normal these days. Open relationships are actually quite normal. I think it's called ethical non-monogamous, or something along those sorts of. I can't even say it, let alone know what it is. But at the end of the day, it's kind of like actually seeing and having fun with other people, but in an open way where both parties know, both parties consent to it, and understand it, and it's fair and equal. That's completely understandable. And again, once you've had kids as well, again, there's other parts of this. People say about your sex life when you're married drops. It does drop, because there's other priorities. And I think that's the thing, is actually, if someone's got a really high drive and someone's dropped and it's a lower drive, then there's ways to balance that, one way or another. But you need to work it out as a couple, as a family. And at the end of the day, if it gets to a point where you can't work it out, then maybe you need to consider going separate ways. I'm not saying that's the answer. I'm just saying it may be a consideration. Try everything beforehand. Try counselling, etc. This is what I did. I tried all sorts of different things, and it just wasn't going to work. And in the end, sometimes you have to admit defeat and go, okay, the only option is divorce, and separating, which is absolutely fine. If that's your only answer, there isn't a problem with that. Please do it if you feel like that is your only way out. But explore other avenues first, because they'll be a lot cheaper than divorce. Divorce is you think actually marriage in itself. Marriage is expensive. People go, oh, you spend a lot on a marriage, and especially if you turn around to book. You're going to book places, or you're going to book flowers, or you're going to book whatever you're doing for booking for a wedding. As soon as you say the word wedding, the prices jump up massively. So it is important to make sure it's the right thing to do. But if you thought weddings were expensive, divorce is even more expensive. Try doubling what your wedding was. That's probably what you're going to be spending divorce wise. So it's not great. Don't recommend it to anyone, and especially if you've got kids involved. It is a real challenge. However, if it's the only option you've got, then do it, because you will be so much happier, and especially if kids are involved. If you are happier as a parent, and that's having two separate parents. If you're both happy, that's better than having two parents in a toxic environment. Having a toxic relationship around kids is never going to end well for the kids, but having two separate households is. So it is always worth considering. I know it's a long journey. I know it's a real struggle, but it's worth it in the long run. Trust me with that. So yeah, that kind of covers divorce and the struggles that you may be going through. But if you can make it work, do try. I know it's hard. I know you're busy. Work life, social life, family life. I know it gets really, really busy. Obviously, if you can have a social life, then do it. That's a great thing to have. But you've got to find balance. And when balance isn't there, that's where problems start to happen. And that's where things tip over and go wrong. Try and get that balance as best you can. But the most important person to speak to is that partner. Admit when you've made mistakes as well. That's another big thing I think is quite important. Something I didn't feel like I got that from the other side. But if you admit your mistakes and go, look, I'm trying my best, but I just got it wrong, people can't really push against that too much. People can go, okay, not a problem. Thank you for apologizing. Don't do it again, type of thing. So words to those effect, anyway. But I think the best thing is to make sure that actually stick your hand up when you've done something wrong, you haven't got something right. I know I did it once. I stayed out far too late and stayed at my parents' house and didn't come home, and she needed to go out in the morning. Right? It's like, yeah, I've messed up there. Sorry. I can't say anything more than that. I didn't mean to annoy you. I didn't mean to get it wrong. I just did. So apologies. I'll try not to make it happen again. Might have done, but you need to learn from those mistakes if you do make mistakes. I only did it twice, but like the second time wasn't as bad because I could stay out and not have to be back. But the first time I had to be back in time and was a little bit late. But yeah, communication, it is key in a relationship. It is the most important thing, I think, in a relationship, actually, to make it work, a successful relationship. Okay, and it's forever. You'll always have to battle with it. You'll always have to work at it more than battle. It's you work at a relationship. You want to make it work. If you want to make it work, you will work at it. Just like you do in your job. If you want a promotion, if you want things to get better, you work hard. Maybe go and get some new skills somewhere. You work hard and you go and get some more skills, and you still work hard, and hopefully you get that promotion with a bit of experience. It's the same with relationship. I'm not saying you get promoted to a better partner. That's not what I'm saying at all. But I'm just saying you work at your relationship. Maybe go and get some new skills or try some new things together. You never know if you like or dislike something until you've tried it. So go and try things with your other half. Go out. That doesn't just have to be a meal. Go out and do some activities. Go and do a class. I did a cooking class. It was amazing. Loved it. It was just something completely brand new. Never done a cooking class before, but I just thought, hey, you know what, we'll do one together. And it was really, really good fun. We had a great time. The food was lovely. Um, yeah, it's just something that you do as a couple. Um, I would say try and have date nights regularly. Very difficult when you've got kids, and very difficult when things are stretched financially as well. Again, I know both situations. Babysitter is an option, whether it be a family member, friend, or someone external. You know, do you pay for it? Yes, but think about it. The maybe 10, 15 pound an hour that you're paying for a babysitter. I don't know what the going rate is for a babysitter these days, but let's put it hypothetically, 10, 15 pound an hour is still going to be cheaper than what a divorce costs. There we go. It's worth the investment. Um, Date nights don't have to be expensive either. There are so many different options to going out, going for walks, going to play some sport. There's like going to classes. Again, some of it comes with a cost, yes, but there are things that you can do without spending loads, if that makes sense. And you don't have to outdo each other either. Like some of the subtle and um, well thought out events, but not very expensive events and dates, they can be some of the best. Like a nice walk in the countryside and seeing nature and things like that can be just as good as going out to some luxury restaurant and just chatting away. So think about things about you enjoy, you want to try together, and just go and do it. Go and see what happens. Get outside your comfort zone and go and explore with that other half that you're spending time with. Bringing on to that and talking about dates, I'm going to touch on the likes of dating, and I'm half thinking of actually doing a completely different episode on dating because it's a whole topic that is crazy. And if you're in your 30s and you're in that dating space, it's not easy. Let's put it that way. And especially if you've got kids as well, or you've had a marriage or a long-term relationship breakup, it is very, very difficult. In fact, I am going to save that. I'd rather have a shorter episode about like being in relationship and relationship issues, and then dating can be a completely different kettle of fish. So let's leave that for now. What else about relationships that is quite important? So obviously we've talked about, together, what you're doing. I think, as I said, communication and dating is key. Remembering that spark, and reigniting that flame. If that flame, imagine a fire. If that flame starts to dwindle, you need to put more fuel on it potentially to reignite it. That's what you have to do with your marriage and your relationship. Do things to make it work, because I think it is vitally important. And like I said, if it does end up going out, then move on from it. Move on. I think the biggest part of that is, and especially where kids are involved, but in general, is to actually, if you are going to break up, accept the fact that you're breaking up. Try and do it as quickly as you can. I know it's tough, but accept the fact that you're breaking up. You've worked on it. You've tried everything you possibly can. This is a last resort anyway, and be humble in that. And what I mean by that is try not to blame the other person. It's probably no one's fault as to why this has happened. And I'll touch on the likes of cheating here, because cheating is quite common these days, which I think is completely wrong. I'm completely against it, but I think it's very easy to cheat, in a sense of the opportunities are there. I think it's more accepted this day and age that it happens and has happened previously. Again, not saying it's right, but I think it's more accepted by the generation. I think there's less chance of getting caught, so hence why people do it. But it doesn't help anyone. It doesn't help anyone in the whole situation, and it makes things really, really messy. Just don't do it. If you are considering cheating, and this is a direct message to you, but if you are considering cheating or have considered cheating, stop. If your relationship's over, or your marriage is over, accept that and go, okay, I'm going to move on with that. I think you have to end that relationship. then go and explore, that's fine, but just end that relationship first. But if you are in a relationship or in a marriage and trying to make it work, please do not cheat. Just turn around and go, no, I need to finish this first before starting this new thing. Um, or even if you just want a little bit on the side because your sex drive is higher than your partner's, have that conversation. Have that conversation with them and say, look, I think my sex drive is higher than yours. Um, what can we do about it? And leave it out there. You never know, it may be something that they're quite open to. They might get extra satisfaction about seeing your pleasure or whatever. I don't know. It could be so many different caveats, but have that conversation. It's quite normal. Talk about how talk about the different adventures, the fantasies that you've got, the things that you want to do, and think of ways of how you can make it work together. Involve them in that situation, because if you're involving them, they feel a part of it. It's that trust, it's that relationship. If you hold your hands open and say, hey, I've got a concern, I want to deal with this, the two of us together, you're more likely to have a better response, and you're certainly not going to break that trust. And yeah, if someone comes to you saying, look, I think I've got a higher sex drive than you, then you've got to think to yourself, okay, is it that person? Do I not have a high sex drive because of them? Is it because I just generally don't? Absolutely fine, whatever it might be. But then maybe think of ways that you can help them out. You know, like, there's so many different options. Maybe swinging might be a thing, maybe not. Maybe open relationships might be a thing. Maybe like a little surprise. I don't know. Whatever it is. But it just will stop that person thinking about cheating. Um, the damage that cheating does to people internally is massive, and I don't think people realize this. People think it's harmless. No one's ever going to find out. Um, you know, and but it's the lies within it that makes things worse, and the cover up stories and trying to hide things, and it's just messy. It's just so messy. Just so my plea to you is just don't do it. Just go and seek that help. Whether if you're considering doing it, maybe speak to a friend in the first and foremost, not the person you're thinking of cheating with. Please don't do that. But just think, like, speak to someone different and go, hey, I've had thoughts of doing this. Someone will hopefully bring you to your senses. They may even ask a question, hey, what about your relationship? If you're thinking that something's wrong in your relationship, you might need to sort that. That might be your first protocol. Go and sort your relationship out. Or if it can't be sorted, go and end it. You know, whatever it might be. On the talks of ending relationships, being on the receiving end. Now, again, I was quite fortunate in my relationship in a sense that we both came to some sort of mutual agreement that we needed to end it. Yes, it was me who said the words, I want a divorce, but we both had that sort of thoughts and feelings. It was quite mutual. There are some people out there who won't have that. I.e., one person wants a divorce and the other person doesn't think anything's wrong. Firstly, if that's the situation, wow. If someone doesn't realize something's wrong, then that's crazy. But on the other side to it is hopefully you've told them enough in the lead up to that you've tried to work on stuff, told them that there's something wrong, or I wouldn't just drop on someone, by the way, I want a divorce. Surely that's going to be obvious from the dissatisfaction that you've told them about over periods of time. So it is I'm sure that'd be a really difficult situation to be in, and especially any breakups, whether you're married to them or not. Any breakups is always difficult. And post that breakup, give yourself some time to recover. I know, and I did this. It's very easy to go, right, that one's done. I need to get back out there. But if you're been in a long-term relationship, there's a moving on process. The longer you've been in a relationship, the longer it's probably going to take to move on from someone as well. Not always, but commonly. You've got some healing to do. You've got some growth to do on the inside. So you're going to have to take that time and think about it, I think. That's my personal opinion. Like I said, dating apps makes it very easy um, to get on and move on. I don't think it's right, and I think again, um, things like Tinder and other dating apps where you go based on an image of someone. Um, Again, I think it's. I'm not going to say shallow because you need to have physical attraction. I think that's an important asset to have, but you want to get to know someone before really getting close to them. I think it's all a bit of a game. Like I say, I'll talk about dating in a completely different episode, but like, give yourself some time, give yourself some breathing space. Yeah, go out and have fun. Like, do what you need to do. There's that thing where people talk about rebounds. I don't think rebounds are a bad thing. Um, are they a good thing? I wouldn't necessarily say good, but firstly, make sure that that relationship's over before going for a rebound, because it does add another strain on things. If you try and rekindle and get back together, and you've had a rebound, it gets quite awkward. I wouldn't bother trying to do that. But if it's over, for a rebound, like okay, but just realise that that is potentially a rebound and not something special there. Give yourself time, give yourself that recovery time, get out what you need to get out of your system, and then reset yourself ready to be able to start something new with someone potentially, or really start looking. And make sure they're the right person, not just a gap that you need to fill. Make sure they are really the right person for you, and it can take time. You might find that person really quickly. If you do, lucky you. And once you found them, I think that really is special. If you find someone who really lights you up, you're thinking about them every morning, every evening, you really light them up, that's really, really special to have. But again, I think they will appreciate where you are at this moment in time, especially if things are tough. They may just need to allow you the time to recover before really moving on. But I hope that covers a lot about relationships. I know it can be lonely. I know it can be tough. Speak to people, go and get support, speak to your partner who's going through the same thing. 9 times out of 10, they are feeling exactly the same as you. But have those conversations. Communication is key. It is vitally key to make sure that that relationship works well. So good communication. Go and have some fun. Put smiles on your face, try new things, do new things, go to new classes, learn new skills, maybe go to weird and wonderful places, just do things differently. And if it's not right and it's not working, once you've tried everything else, whether it be counselling, whether it be other means, if it's time to knock it on the head, then do. Go and find happiness elsewhere potentially, but just do it amicably, work together with it. And again, especially if you've got kids, remain friends if you can. And cheating is a no-no. Don't do it. It's not good. Thank you so much for listening. It's been an absolute pleasure. I am looking to bring on some guests. If you are keen to be a guest on the podcast, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to have conversations. If you've listened this far as well, that's amazing. Thank you so much for listening. Please do like, share, subscribe, follow, 5-star reviews, whatever platform you are on, whether it be YouTube or Spotify. Please do, help spread the word. It really does help me, not only lift me up and give me, I'm giving some great value here, but also the fact that it spreads to more people. I want to help as many people as I possibly can. If I can spread it out to more people, that's going to help provide more value, hopefully bring on some even bigger and better guests. And yeah, you never know, it may just help that one person who really, really needs it most. So please do like, subscribe, share, follow, 5-star review. I think I've covered all bases. But thank you so much for listening. And we will see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.